We moved about 7 months ago, and this has been sitting in the corner of my garage ever since then. I originally built a table to go behind our sectional in our old apartment, and there were a couple things wrong with it. Measurements weren't quite right, but it was good enough to get the job done. And I had all the cuts made at the Home Depot that we lived near, and so I couldn't really adjust it. I didn't have the tools needed. Now, I do have the tools needed, and I'm finally getting to this at our new house. I figured I'll make the cuts to it, start building it, putting it together, and see if we can make it better than it has been before. It is pretty much just a bunch of 1x4s that has already been painted. That's the time consuming part for me. And we've got some brackets as well that you can see right here. And these make it nice and sturdy. Basically, the point of the table for me is to be able to have access to the outlet that's behind there, because I do have an outlet right here, and I think that just helps a lot. Plus, our Wi-Fi router is behind the couch. This kind of gives it a safe place to be. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this is the top piece. I'm gonna set it aside for now and then get everything else put together first. I'm gonna go ahead and sort these and just figure out what piece is what and get it taken care of from there. Some things I can tell, because this was not painted, this was one of the middle shelves. Probably needs to be cut an inch shorter. This one as well has the bracket. So those two go together. These guys are what holds it upright, and also needs to be cut about 2.5 inches. So if you look at the picture that I'm showing right now, you can see that there's a little bit of space. I want to get rid of that space, and I think 2 to 2.5 inches is going to do that. So I'm going to cut these down a little bit. Then that of course leaves the two bottom pieces here, one wrapped up with our plastic wrap. But these ones have brackets on both sides just to hold it in place. So let's get these measured and cut. I am going with the unpainted side as the bottom, just to be consistent with what it was before. Got that there. All three here, good to go with the height. So let's go ahead and start putting this together. Get rid of this guy. This is a little bit bent. Super easy to bend back though, so that was nice. And we can see this edge has about the width, so 1 inch for a full plank to go. This one has about 1/2 inch, so this is the middle. So I'm gonna start with our outside edge first. Luckily, my father-in-law took this apart for me because I was up here working on the shower. So if you wanted to, you can go check that video out. But he was very organized and had all of the screws right here in a bag. Easy to manage. That in front of me here. And there we go for our board. That's pretty much it. I am going to drill some pilot holes because I'm really nervous about splitting the plank, and I don't have more. So this board actually was the middle one, so I'm not going to use this because it has holes on both sides here. So we'll come back to that guy, which means re-drill pilot holes. There were already pilot holes on this, but because I cut off the bottom 2.5 inches, those are gone. And there we go. So there's one side. Do the same for this side. So there we have the bottom ready to go for each side. So now we need to connect it in the middle. Okay, we have our board. I did some pilot holes on accident on the other because I thought this was going somewhere else. Doesn't look like that'll be a problem though. We'll get this in place before we get the other side. So now it's nice and sturdy and easier to get over here. What I like about this project the most is how simple it is. Just need brackets and 1x4s. And if you're better than me, you could have the department store be able to actually cut it to the right size the first time. But because I had already put it all together, it felt ridiculous to undo it. There we go. Have our base intact here. We have 2 shelves. Each of these are going to go over here. Before, they were like the perfect height that they were blocking the outlet at the wall. I measured the wall, it is 15 inches. Now I'm just deciding if I want the shelf to be above or below the outlet. Because right here is like right at it. Here is super low. And then here, I think I'm gonna do right around here, and then I can have my router up on this shelf, and the top has a hinge. So if I ever need to access the router, I can lift it that way. But that would block the outlet if I ever needed to get to it. If I had it lower, I would be able to access the router, or the outlet and the router. Okay, I will go lower. Last time, one of these was too long because I didn't take into account the width of this and the edges. So actually each of these was about 1/2 inch, like 3/4 of an inch too long. So if we look, there it is at that post, and much too long here. If I'm inside the board, still about 1/4 of an inch off on this. So I will cut about 1/4 of an inch off, measuring that way. That one was correct. Put that on the edge down there. Oh, this one, that's fully in place. So this one is fine. This side needs to come down by about 1/4 of an inch. I have a bracket on that side. I don't on this side. So I'm just grabbing one of these. These are corner braces with a black finish. And I decided to go lower, but either way, it needs to go on the edge of this. And now we tighten that. There we go. So this is where it was originally. I was gonna go lower. I'm gonna take my command strips off. Those were on there to hold the router in place. They weren't really that effective. I feel like this would have been better to do on the bottom, or before I did it into the side. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take it off of this side. I think that'll be good there. Where'd my bag of screws go? There they are. It's still like wanting to go that way. Goodness. Yeah, that wants to go quite a bit. I think I'm gonna grab this right here to kind of hold it up a tiny bit while I put it back in over here. Just to make sure it doesn't go too low. And now we can get rid of this. Kind of just trying to figure out what 90 degrees is here. Like, it doesn't matter that much because it'll be hidden behind the couch. All right, I'll measure. 10.5 inches is where the bottom of the plank is over there. About an inch short. So right here. There we go. Okay, so we have our shelves in. Now we just need to get the top piece on. We've got some brackets for one side up here. The other side will be the hinge. So we have bracket, bracket on this side, and then that side, it'll probably be flipped. So this side will be the hinge, this side will be the bracket. Give it a go. This is going to generally be what it looks like at the end. Problem I'm running into is that in our old apartment, this was flipped, meaning this piece right here connected a little bit better to the middle than it does right now. It's a little off of the actual line here. The outlet is closer toward what will be this side of the table, which is why I am flipping it so that this can actually reach the outlet. If it's switched, this is not long enough to reach from over here to get to the outlet. So that is the problem. I'll have a bracket keeping this in place. That gets me to 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch from the center to the actual hinge. And then that side doesn't get latched or anything like that because that's where it should lift up from. If I go here, where is the screw? It's actually right on the edge. So on here, the hole is about 1/2 an inch. That might actually be perfect. Like just barely there. And then that still allows for the second one to be fully, without a doubt, in there. It just feels weird that it'll be slightly off center, but it's behind the couch, so you can't really see it, so it doesn't matter. There we go. Talking myself into it being okay. I don't love the idea of having to flip the top because for some reason I don't like the outlet being the thing, or the power strip being the thing moving, but it'll have plenty of slack, so it'll be fine. That's it. Table is done. Now we just need to put it behind the couch, which might be a little tricky to, I don't know how the sectional comes apart, so guess I'm gonna go figure that out. And then I'll show you the reveal of it behind the couch. So one thing I didn't think about is this right here. I have no idea if my shelf is gonna interfere with that. I went lower to be lower than this. I don't know if I'm low enough to be lower than that. We're like 1.5 inches too tall. There we go. I only adjusted the height on this right side just to make sure that it got to the right height. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, even though I don't really need to. Knowing that it's off would bother me. So I'm gonna go do that real quick, and then the final reveal. And here is the final table. Everything behind that side of the couch. And then we have our outlet up top. And that's it. Let me know what else I should try.